If we may, can we just get some context to it and a little bit of history? So can we just rewind right back to the beginning and you're forming the band and like, why? Because it's not as if you guys weren't busy enough already.
Yeah. It was, I like to think of it in retrospect, it's a testament to, I always say that I let the music tell me what to do. And that's one of the sort of the proof that I have is that like the Raconteurs came out of a song, and it was me just stopping by Brendon's house to say hey to him in Detroit, and he was working on the song and needed a chorus or needed some lyrics, and that song was Steady As She Goes. So that the album and the band came out of that me just stopping by to say hi. So that was great. It was more like, I could have easily said at that time, look, I'm really busy with the White Stripes and I don't really need to start all over again with a whole new band. But the music was coming out was so good. It was just like, I shouldn't stand in the way of it. Let's happen. And luckily, Brendon wanted to do it as well. And the other two, I forgot their names. The other guys.
Wow! Well, how wonderful to have such a luminary get so inspired by your song. That must have felt pretty good, Brendon.
It did. It felt great. There was that whole sort of bonus to it. Jack being involved in the song that I started, but then the rest of it was, amazing. Just we decided we'd get the best rhythm section that we could think of, which was, LJ and Patrick from the Greenhorns, and they would come up to the house from Cincinnati, and we all kind of set up in my attic in Detroit, and I had my tape machine down the second floor, and us in the attic. It was sweltering hot. We got down to our skivvies, played the record, I think, in our underwear. It was great.
It was funny because I'm popping back in my head now when we did that. I remind you, most of my early childhood, my musical part of my childhood was spent in the attic. We had to play in the attic, so it was the least noisy for everyone on the first floor of the house. So so it was funny when we were recording that album, it made me think this is just like my first recordings I did. All the way up until the White Stripes as well. Our first recordings were in the attic as well.
Wow.
So we used to say that all the time when the garage rock term became very popular for that at that early part of the century. We had it's funny. It's not really garage rock. It's mostly attic and basement rock.
Attic rock. That's brilliant. You're having flashbacks to when you were a child while you're recording. And so are you one of those artists or bands that kind of gets bored of their old material, or when you hear Steady As She Goes in a shop or on the radio, do you still smile and sort of go, yeah, we made that?
I don't. Anytime I've ever heard a song I've written in any context, years later, it always shocks me. I always like, wow, that's incredibly interesting. And it doesn't matter if it's like a deep track or if it's Seven Nation Army or something. Like every time, 100%, it's always been like, I can't believe people still can care about that. That's really nice. As a songwriter, you hope for timelessness,
Of course.
When you're beginning something, you're trying to create something beautiful. You're like, it would be nice if what you're aiming for is timelessness, not something like, oh, this will be nice for today and tomorrow, who cares? You're trying to aim for timelessness, but you have no idea. You have to wait and see. You have to wait. Time has to pass and see what still connects with people. So. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to have.
You say timeless, and the Raconteurs are, you are a very timeless band, aren't you? That is, it's not something that you probably did deliberately. I'm sure it wasn't premeditated, but you are one of those bands that you can't really, you don't sound of a particular, there are some bands you just know they sound of a time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's a good compliment. It's a testament to trying that ideology. What you're hoping to not do the latest, whatever the latest trick is this week, or what's the latest sort of gimmick or whatever trend. You're aiming for timelessness as a songwriter, and sometimes that will say, some people, they'll hear it and they say, oh, that reminds me of The Small Faces, or that reminds me of this other song. And then sometimes it's like, oh, that sounds like something I've never heard before. And either way, timeless is what you're aiming for, but you can't make that happen just by sheer math and sheer hard work. It has to be blessed, and accidentally happen somehow.
Absolutely. So how long has it been? There's been a hiatus And this is your third record, right? This is your third.
Third Raconteurs record. Yep.
And so what were you doing? You know, what was happening? Why the big pause, as they said to the bear?
Well, for me, it was my son being born. I wanted to kind of take a break from touring for a bit, you know, and be with him. So, and then I thought I would start maybe
just before you gave him up for adoption, right?
Right. Yeah. And years later, we just gave him up. It's really not worth the ends weren't worth.
Good. You spent time with
him. But you know, I was thinking that I might just sort of become a producer and a writer or something like that, and so I could stay home and do that, which I tried, and I made some records, some very cool records in there, but then Jack played me a song one day. I came over to his house and he played me a song and said, I think he was working on a solo record, and he's like, I think this is a Raconteurs song, maybe not so much a solo song. And then, so I kind of got it in my head, so I started sort of thinking about that and stockpiling songs, but it wasn't until years later, again, that Patrick had moved away. Our drummer had moved to Los Angeles, but he was in town visiting, so we got together to jam, and it was like, oh, this is cool. This is good. It was like the first record again. It was like, hey, we should be a band.
That's what I said before we started rolling. It sounds like your first record. There's a real energy. There's an undeniable energy to this record. Is it just me, or are you feeling?
I agree too.
I think that we were sort of taking baby steps when we started, like the first session. Like, no pressure or anything. Let's just see if anything sounds cool. Maybe we'll make a 7-inch or something for Third Man Records, but no pressure. But we had so many songs came out. We had way too many songs very quickly. And that was a great problem to have. And I think it was like a sort of a second honeymoon. Everyone was very excited to be back in the room together.
It was a little daunting too, there was so much anticipation from our fans about another Raconteurs record. And, so the pressure was kind of on a little bit. So I think we were worried about making a record, making a lame record. So we kind of took it slowly, but very quickly it was obvious to us all that, come on, this is going to be great. We're going to make a great record. What are we worried about?
Well, let's dive in, gentlemen. So track 1, Bored and Raised. Hashtag see what you did there. We're off to a blistering start to the record. So let's talk about this. Talk me through this.
Well, it's funny because we had played that, and maybe the first or second day was that the music for that song. And we had moved on to so many. We had like 30 different things we were writing. And Patrick, the drummer, when we were coming near the end, he's insisting, guys, we have to finish that song. Are you kidding me? He's like, he was really rooting for it to be finished. And we thought, okay, let's take another listen to it. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty good. Neither of us thought of any lyrics or vocals for it. So I went out there and tried something and started to work. And Brendon went out and tried a bridge chorus thing on it. It worked. We got lucky. It was right at the end. It was the last thing we completed.
And then in the end, it also kind of reminded us, or I think it was us. I mean, it reminds me of in the way that it's almost like 3 songs, or it's almost like a what do you call that? A
triptych. What do you call it?
Or a triptych, trifecta. No, a medley. It almost sounds like a medley, and which reminded me of Consoler of the Lonely.
Our first song on our last album was very similar. We combined a couple different songs together.
And I think it's the first use of the word "raised" that I've seen in rock and roll, which is so elegant. That's one of my favorite Scrabble words.
That's a good one. I can't believe you said that. That's one of my Scrabble words.
Isn't it a great way to get rid of a Z? And people go, "What? You raised? What does that even mean?" No, it's raised to the ground, like a city raised to the ground. Right. And oh, okay, all right,
It's a great word.
Yeah, man, it's a really good one to have in your up your sleeve. Your Scrabble nut as well. Yeah. So so on to I think your current single. I don't know. Do we even have singles anymore? Do we call them focus tracks? But your current focus track, "Help Me, Stranger."
Yeah.
Now I'm going to quote. I'm going to quote our head of music, Christian, who loves a very succinct radio edit. And he goes, what is all that nonsense at the top of this? What is all the nonsense on the top of this record?
Well,
I'm
that's,
assuming
yeah.
that it was a sample that means a great deal to you.
Well, what it was, and we have to cut it out for the radio edit for this song because it's, like whatever, a minute worth. But what it was Jack Lawrence, our bass player in the band, he went in to record like a backing vocal or something. He was trying something out. And we were debating something in the control room. And I think he picked up a guitar and sort of to make us laugh a little bit, he pretended he was like a 1930s singer singing this song.
Oh, okay.
And
It wasn't,
so
okay.
It's his version, like a sort of. So then we just kind of EQ'd it so it sounded like an old 78 as well.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I was thinking, is it a sample or is it? Are they messing around?
In the video we just put out a couple days ago, you can see him. He sings in the beginning. You see his face and
Okay.
stuff.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, it's got the drums have got a very machine-like feel. It's almost as if the drum is playing on top of a machine.
Yeah, he did this very unique thing. He flipped the snare over, right? I guess he played the bottom of the snare barely, like with like almost like a chopstick or something. I don't know what it was. They lightly hit it, and we amped the mic up.
He had to be super quiet. The engineer, Josh Smith, kept saying, the drums are too loud, because we were all in the room with acoustic guitars and
These drums are coming through our mics. So.
And so he had to play this part that that was genius, really. The part is incredible, but he had to play it like super lightly, super quietly, which was pretty hard for him.
I think he's played with a pencil or something. He's flipped
he might have played with
something with really light.
Well, it really made me listen. It really made me just think, is that a human or is it a machine? Because it kind
you
of
should
sounds
hear it
like
on its
both.
own, like isolated. It sounds like a drum machine.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
and then there's a filthy bass line that kind of gets
also
comes out
unique.
at the end. That is just, I almost had to take a shower. after.
He's playing bass pedals. Jack Lawrence, just instead of a bass guitar, he's playing bass pedals. And that's why it's really unique sounding.
Yeah, that is pure filth.
Yeah, really cool.
Okay, so track 3 now is Only Child, and now we have a little switch in gear and the warmth that comes from an acoustic guitar.
Yeah, he generated this one.
So Brendon, let's talk us through.
Did a demo of this song, and I thought this would be a great Raconteurs song, and so I played it for the guys, and they liked it, and we recorded it. First try, we didn't quite get it. I don't know, it just didn't sound, the groove wasn't quite right. So we ended up using the demo acoustics, the acoustics from the recorded acoustics on the demo. And everyone kind of played along to that, and I think we kept the vocal as well. So it was kind of an interesting way of...
Yeah, so half recorded at his studio, half recorded at mine in that way.
Right.
Kind of cool.
And what I really loved about it, I thought, echoing actually the drums being kind of two things, so cleverly done, was there's a really clever guitar solo that sounds like something's tracking the guitar. I'm not even sure what it is on that. Is it that one or is that the next one?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's an echo. It's a tape echo.
Yeah, it feels like something is playing along with the guitar solo.
Yeah, it's a tape echo guitar, and then there's another guitar playing with a high octave.
Right.
So it sounds like, it's like a little echoey high octave. Yeah.
Really nice. That was
thanks,
again. It just made me just listen. It made me really kind of like prick my ears up.
Cool.
Oh,
Nice.
There were so many little sonic treats on
Yeah,
this
that one's
record.
that one's cool. It's got the riff, the theme of the song, kind
Melody,
of
yeah.
played with different sounds.
Instruments,
every
like
time.
what you just mentioned, and next time it comes back, it's a synthesizer.
Yeah.
Next time it comes back, it's a really distorted guitar. So it's the same melody in different forms.
Yeah. I feel as though you, compared to your early work, you really went into it, and you really indulged yourselves, but without, it still sounds timeless, and it still sounds kind of.
Well, it was nice. This
kind
was
of
the
raw.
first time the studio that I built and designed at my house. This was the first time we got to record in it because I built it right after the second Raconteurs album, so we had never gotten to record as this band in that studio. So it was really nice to finally be able to do it. Because before we were sort of renting the gear and we recorded at Blackbird Studio and stuff. So now I had all my favorite microphones over the years are now in one place. So it was cool to be able to finally work in there.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you all like pile in to a place for a length of time like they do in the olden days, or was it a kind of a lengthy process?
What's nice about this was that it was the studio at my house.
Yeah.
So. We would do I was on tour last year, so when I would have a break, I'd say I have a break coming up in a couple of weeks, we could come in and do 3-4 days. And we would do that, and the next break I had from tour, we'd come do another 3 days. And we kept doing that until we started to really get something cooking. And then we're like, we're gonna need we need 2 weeks in a row. and finish this and mix it and
Right.
be all done. So that's how it worked out.
Excellent. That must have been great for band camaraderie and
It's
morale.
nice, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. It becomes a new challenge for me because it's in my home. So
Yeah.
I have to be very conscious of not getting distracted, and I'll go and say something to my children, and then I'll end up like for 15 minutes playing with them or something. Like, I got to get back to It's easier
Yeah.
when you go to another studio to just you have no distractions. So I have to be very diligent with myself.
Yeah, and also if somebody cocks something up, it's their fault. Whereas any cock-ups come down to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So let's get on to let's crack on to Don't Bother Me. Wow, what fun this was! So your drummer gets to have a lot of fun on this
Yeah,
one. Well, it sounds like you're all having fun.
He's killing it. Yeah, his drum beat really.
Patrick on this record is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
In general. Just
I
all-
can say drummers need to hear this album
Yeah.
because if anything, that I think drummers will find a lot of nice, as you said earlier, ear candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There were several moments where I thought, whoa, this band are really, you've got such a good band around you. You've got a great rhythm section, fantastic drummer. It must be great to play. Have you played that live yet?
Yes, it's nice, man. It's powerful. You could start a show off with it, and
I bet there's a huge
everyone's-
roar.
It's like a train taking off. So.
Yeah, I bet, with stops, I bet there's a huge roar afterwards. That's, wow, and I bet it's really driven from the back as well. And your drummer, I've got to say this, because I had a look at, I listened to the record and I had a look at a couple of videos and stuff, and he's using the orthodox grip, which is so rare. Like, I think it's just him and Stuart Copeland left.
Yeah, not many, yeah.
Yeah, the old-fashioned
Last
wristy-
tour I've done, Carla Azar, she also uses the orthodox grip as well. So it's a rarity, man. There's almost no one doing it.
It's nice to see. But there was a police Regatta de Blanc special that we did on Virgin, and Stuart talked us through that, and he said it came from marching bands.
Exactly. And both of these
Patrick.
drummers, Patrick and Carla, both started drumming in marching bands.
Wow, how interesting. That's
it's the
why.
drum on your side of your hip.
Yes, 'cause,
vibe.
yeah,
You
exactly.
You can't really do that. You have to.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be all in the wrist. So now, track 5, Shine a Light on Me. Who doesn't love a barbershop harmony? Huh?
Yeah, it's funny you said that. There's a lot of these things kept popping up while we were recording, and was this doo-wop feeling, like doo-wop singing and barbershop quartet singing in these 3 or 4 part harmonies we were trying out. And it was nice because LJ, the bass player, got really involved in singing harmony on this album, which he hadn't really done earlier, and he's been doing that live. So that was a nice new treat to have, and I was doing my best to encourage him too, because it makes it easier for us. Like, we have sort of a dual lead singer,
Of course,
in this band. So if he sings the verses and I sing a chorus, it's hard for me to harmonize with him during the verses and then also make my chorus my own thing. It's hard to back somebody up and then take the lead.
Yeah.
So it's nice when he can do that for us with
Yeah.
us. Sorry.
And I picked up just a whiff of the Beatles with this track. Do you think that's fair enough?
Yeah, my son said that as well. So it's good. I think that the Beatles did so many original things that it's good to sort of, you never aim for it. It's going to accidentally happen to you no matter what at times.
Yeah.
And those are those moments. And
Yeah, late Beatles, I have to add.
Yeah.
After drugs.
But say like it's like you're bound to run into that, and it's always a good thing. I think it's nice if you set up and try to sound like the Beatles. I think that's where it ends up sounding bad or pastiche or something like that. But when those happy accidents happen, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. So now we get to track 6. We're almost at half time. Some days I don't feel like trying.
Yeah.
So which came first, the really lazy groove or the lyrics? Because it's almost as if
the main song came first, and that end bit, is that what you mean?
Well, I just thought to myself, well, was this like you were all jamming and then your drummer came up with an incredibly lazy beat and you all started grooving in this very restrained way, and then you thought, I'm going to have to write a song that's got lazy in the title now, or did it happen the other way around?
Other way around,
Or was it just a divine inspiration where everything came together at the same time?
He had the song to start, and then we sort of made up a new Raconteurs arrangement of it, sort of.
Yeah.
It was this B-bender guitar I had just gotten, which is it's a guitar where when you push it away from your body, it bends only the B string, sort of like a pedal steel guitar. I think the most famous use of it is Jimmy Page's solo on "All of My Love." Oh
wow!
This is this guitar.
Yes.
So you push it away from your body, and the strap lock pulls up a contraption.
Oh wow!
Sounds
So I
like
thought
a
that was a
pedal
finger
steel.
bend or something. So
It
that's
sounds like a pedal steel a bit. Yeah. So I was my first use of this instrument was on this song. So it has that to go along with his vocal bend. He kept doing that, starting off the line with So trying to make that blend together.
And I guess it's nice to have this as the halfway point because it's you're relaxing. It's halftime.
Yeah.
The ending of it too. I'm here right now, but I'm not dead yet. Was a really big build up. It felt like good side A of the vinyl would end with that song.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And how heartwarming that vinyl sales are so so strong. I don't know what it's like in the States, but in the UK, I don't think it's ever been.
Yeah.
It's better than ever. I think
For real.
and I love that. I've still got 2 decks
Yeah.
in my home.
Good.
There was a point in this song where the whole band drops out, and then there's a 3 or 4 part harmony, and I just thought, what a moment! That's a lovely moment where everything just knocks, everything strips out, and then it's just left with you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, that was our engineer Josh. He did that when he was playing it back for us, and he muted everything but the vocals right there. Like, oh, that was a good move.
We were like,
He doesn't offer up too many ideas often, but if he's doing it, it's probably something cool.
He nailed that one.
That was a good one.
And so and that must be great live. Such dynamics.
It does feel strong. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. It's nice for the engineer to get some props because I'm all about giving the unsung heroes some credit. So cracking on, we go to track 7, Hey Jip.
Yeah.
Brackets dig the slowness. This is we're back to your drummer. This is a fantastically floppy wristed drum take.
Yeah.
It really had me like shuffling, got my buttocks quivering from the first few bars.
Very cool drum beat.
And then you've got these loud hailer vocals that kind of cut through. So yeah, where did this come? Was this one of yours, Brendon?
This is actually a Donovan song. It's a cover. It's a more of an obscure Donovan song. It's like a B-side. And he.
Oh yes,
I had heard it in the car that morning on like satellite radio. I'm like, oh man, I haven't heard this song in a long time. And I said to the guys, do you want to check this, try this out, or cover this track, get us warmed up for the day? And Brendon's like, oh, I love that song. And Brendon whipped out a harmonica, and we all learned that day that Brendon plays harmonica in the band. None of us knew that he played, so he did a killer job on that.
Yeah, that's a cool. That is a cool line. Was that in the original? I can't remember.
Does he play harmonica in the
Yeah. And
I don't know if it's Donovan playing. I'm assuming so.
Probably does. Yeah. I bet.
Yeah. And have you done any covers on your other? How?
One other, Rich Kid Blues, which is Terry Reid. He was the original choice for the singer for Led Zeppelin, and he was a sort of a white soul singer. 60s. His name's Terry Reid. And
wow.
We did his song Rich Kid Blues on our last album. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so from the Donovan cover.
Yeah.
To wow. Okay. So now we come to Sunday Driver. Now this blew my socks off. I mean, what a riff!
Oh.
This is a riff that would have Angus Young raising an eyebrow.
That's great. That's really great to hear that. That's
maybe
great.
cocking a snoot your way.
That's great to hear that because it's hard for me to tell sometimes those things. Like when I first played that, sometimes it's hard to tell like what's just good enough or what's too simple. Sometimes you think, oh man, that's maybe just too simple. And at that moment when first doing it, because I'm not really moving my fingers so much like maybe like an Angus sort of vibe, boogie woogie kind of rhythms. And you have, it's so great when people respond to it, it makes you think, it reminds you every time as you go on in life as a songwriter that simple is usually better,
Oh man,
That song's all about the swagger, all about the groove.
Yeah, but then you get this treat later on in the song where you go almost like psychedelic rock harmonies.
Yeah, that's like
happening.
what we were talking about with LJ on the harmony again. Yeah,
that's fantastic. It's a lovely kind of transition. I loved that.
Oh, thanks.
And there's so much love about that track. But then I saw the video, and then my God, Jack, those shoes.
Yeah.
Which you
Blinding.
well, I mean,
Blinding.
you know, Brendon put up a good fight with a pair of sexy Adidas, but he was outshone on the day.
Yes,
I was.
And you matched them with a flying V as well. Did you play that flying V? Is that the flying V on the record, or was that for show?
It is.
So what was that? An original old?
It's
Gibson?
Gibson was put on some event that I was going to, and they, as a present to me, they asked, pick out any Gibson you'd like, and we'll make it for you.
Wow.
And I'd only played Gibson acoustic guitars really my whole life, so I didn't really know what guitar to pick out. So they had this one Les Paul Fort Knox edition, was all over the top gold, and everything was gold pick guard, gold tuners and all this stuff. Like, I don't really like gold very much, but that's so over the top, I think I should get that. So I asked them, could you make that one with a maple neck? That would be nice. And they said, yeah, we'll do it. And very kind of them. And then when they showed up, they gave me that. And they also gave me a matching Flying V, golden Flying V, Fort Knox Vision as an extra present, which that was really kind of them. So
you had to
pull it out.
You had to find those shoes to go with the guitar.
Basically, yeah.
And the glasses.
Yeah.
And now the glasses.
I kind of brought it as a joke because on our first tour, Brendon got a Flying V. And I said to him, like, oh man, you really gonna play a Flying V on stage? And he was like, what do you mean? Why can't I play that? And I was just a little bit worried. I thought, that's kind of like a heavy metal move, isn't it? And it just kind of scared me at first. And so when we did the video, I brought that as a joke, like thinking Brendon was gonna be reminded of that. Like he'd forgotten about that, and everyone was like, oh, you got to use that in the video because it matches your shoes and all this stuff.
Yeah, my God. I just bought these trainers and I'm wearing them for the first time today. First trainers I've ever had with a little bit of gold. Completely. Nice. I wore them in honor of those
nice.
of those shoes, just in case.
Oh, man.
You know, just in case.
Nice.
So from and is Sunday Driver, is that been a single or is that gonna be a single?
Yeah, it was sort of the very first thing. We sort of put out this double A side, a 7-inch vinyl and 2 videos at once. It was like 2 singles at once, Sunday Driver and Now That You're Gone,
right?
The next song on the record. And so it was kind of a cool, like, put out two things at first to sort of announce that we were recording together and making an album.
What a way to announce.
It was nice, yeah.
Yeah, whew. Blow everybody's socks off. That's great. So, as you say, your double A side, Now That You're Gone, this is, it sounded like a modern day blues track. This is kind of like now blues, you know.
Yeah, this is a song an idea that I had brought to the band, and it was kind of a straightforward. My version was pretty straightforward, like kind of a soul thing, or something. It sounded derivative, you know. It sounded a little bit like. So we wanted to kind of just mess it up a bit, you know, just kind of make it more interesting, and so we kind of experimented a lot with the song and came up with this arrangement, which was very minimal, kind of a strange arrangement, I think. Very kind of out there, or, you know, I'm out there, I should say. It's very, there's nothing going on.
Yeah, it's live. It's like it's very hard and harsh, but it's also very slow and empty. So it's like, and people all know the words now. The fans were all really singing along. Yeah. So we're sort of have this like interesting thing. It's almost like you're doing a slow ballad with an acoustic thing because of the tempo. Yeah. But it's very harsh at the same time. So it's got a cool blend going on. Easy, fun and interesting to experiment with as we go out on the road. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the songs changed live, like drastically.
Really?
It's really different. It's
cool. And so and arrangements like that give dynamics.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to have such light and shade.
Yeah.
In a set, and so from soul/blues, we go to punk. It sounds like for Live a Lie.
Yeah.
This is like balls to the wall, head down. Where did this one?
This was good because I had to go to the doctor. I had a doctor's appointment, and I said, "I'm sorry, guys. It'll be an hour. I'll be right back." And I forgot this was happening today. And the 3 of them were other guys in the band. Brendon and Patrick and Jack were already there, so they came up with this while I was gone. Came back and I checked this out, and it was the music.
It was just the instrumental.
Yeah, which was like, oh, that's great, you know. So
yeah.
And I figured, well, when Jack gets back, he'll do a vocal and a guitar solo, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
he came back and
something out of it.
And said, you know, why don't you try to?
Yeah,
why
you try, yeah.
And I was like, you know, horrified. It's not, you know, it's not in my comfort zone to be kind of doing punk vocals, you know. but I did my best.
No, it's cool.
Yeah,
That
man.
was good to hear.
Definitely. There's a hell of an energy to it.
Yeah, that's the harshest he's ever sung on record, so it was very cool. And the solo we did in it, it was a cool technique. It was like 6 or 7 different guitar solo takes, all cut up and spliced together. Sort of put them all up in Pro Tools and just kept slicing them all together, where there's like no physical way you could actually make those jump from this note down here all the way to this note on 22nd fret. This idea I've used a couple of times. It can get you into a whole different sound. It's kind of a cool technique.
Right. Yeah. Like I say, you went in. You really went in on this.
Yeah.
And so we take our foot off the accelerator a little. For track 11, we're in the home straight now. What's yours is mine. Now, wow, I really like this because you start off with a really cheeky riff, and then suddenly you've gone somewhere else.
Yeah,
it's like you've gone almost like a different. Was it 2 songs that you did? Was it 2 songs?
We were jamming that riff, and I just started going ding 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 ding, just to sort of confuse ourselves. Maybe what about the sometimes you just like throw, as you say over here, a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
And we say monkey wrench in the United States. If anyone wants to look that up. Throw a monkey wrench in the works, and we got to a whole new thing where the tempo dropped to a way different tempo, shaky shaker kind of thing, and then bam, it's sort of really cool. It has these like sharp left turns like that. It just worked out.
Yeah, your drummer cannot be in any way drunk.
No,
or
got to be
anything
on.
else.
He's got to be on it. Yeah, he's got to be on it.
Completely on it. And yeah, I loved it because it's like a complete change of tempo, completely change of vibe, and then you're back. You go back to the cheeky riff. And then it's really, I love how it was just a delightful surprise.
Thank you.
I thought.
It's cool.
And that must be fun to nail live.
It is. It feels like you're taking a complete left turn or slamming the brakes at 90 miles an hour. So it's cool.
So now we are at the end with Thoughts and Prayers, which even the title alone sounds like a last song. I guess this had to be the last song, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
It's the longest at 4:42. But then that shows how succinct the rest of the record is. Like it's brevity.
Yeah.
And there was a whiff. Like I got a little whiff of the Beatles with was it Shine a Light on Me? I got a little tiny whiff.
Are you going to say The Who?
I know. I'm going to say Lindsey Buckingham.
Ooh.
Of Lindsey Buckingham,
That's nice.
Fleetwood, because he's my favourite Fleetwood Mac guy.
Yeah.
And there's just something in that guitar and the vibe of that.
I can hear that. Yeah, I can hear that. Sort of like what's that that Fleetwood Mac song with the it has that kind of bluesy.
It's probably going to be a Lindsey Buckingham.
Never break the chain.
The chain.
The chain.
Yeah, the chain from Rumours.
The guitar lick at the beginning of that is almost the beginning of this song has a similar vibe to it. Yeah, I can hear that. That's cool.
Yeah, and so like I said, this had to be. Was this written as the last song? You wrote it and then thought this has got to be the last song.
Yeah, I think I'm a big believer that when you sort of lay all the songs out, they start telling you where they want to be.
Yeah.
In the sequence, I've always believed in that, and the first song starts to tell you, the last song starts to tell you the last song on side A. I like to look at it as a vinyl record, and there should be a little pause there. So that it starts to sculpt itself, and that one was definitely because of the big fiddle ending that Lily May did. This wonderful fiddle player, Lily May. It was such a big finish. You couldn't really put a song after it.
Yeah, you go into a hoedown.
Yeah.
towards the end of this song.
It's like the end of the album.
Yeah, and you getting and you are getting. Is it Ellie? Did you say?
Lily May is her name. Yeah.
So do you get her to play when you play live? Because that must be.
We are figuring that out because we don't know what to do.
So you haven't done that song live yet, or you've got a different
not
version
with a fiddle player yet.
Oh,
no,
right,
no,
okay.
No.
Wow, God, and just imagine.
One day, can't wait.
Imagine that with a whole
it's gonna
bunch
be great
of guys
one day.
like.
Well, she's coming on tour with us later in the year, so maybe we'll get her to come out and finish the set with us. Yeah.
It just made me think of, like Deliverance.
Yeah.
Really out there, kind of like,
That's one of my favorite moments on the record, I think. That whole end. It's great.
It's important to, you how to leave someone at the end of the record. I mean, we started in such a blistering way.
Yeah.
With Bored and Raised. And this record, how to leave someone. How do you want to leave them? Do you feel as though you left them in a good place?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, leave them. I hadn't really thought about it too much, but yeah, leave them feeling sort of satisfied but wanting more, you know. And also, I think lyrically, it's kind of a cool way to end things. You know, it's kind of almost leaves it's a question, unanswered question, you know. I don't know.
I always like that
an exciting way to end the, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done it. I mean, how, you know, looking back on it, I wish we'd sort of listened to it all together. It's sometimes interesting when you do this sort of live on radio and you listen to all the tracks, seeing what artists think of their own record. You know, now that you've got some distance from it, you know, how do you feel about this record?
We're just very excited for everybody to hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of, you know, I think people have different ways of doing things, but you know, when I'm a big believer that when you write songs and you're putting them on record and putting them on record shelves and putting yourself on stage, all those are attempts to share with other people. And so it's nice to have an excitement I can't wait to put this out in the world and see what connects with people. You know, back in the day, you didn't know until you got out on stage, really, and played it for people, like which ones people would actually respond to. Because you'd put out a single maybe, and then you didn't know anything about the rest of the album tracks, what people were going to respond to. You'd hear from your friends a little bit. But until you actually got out on stage and tested them out, you'd say, oh, wow, that fourth song on the album is really connecting with people. And that's what's been going on so far. We haven't even played 10 shows yet for this album, and it's we're already hearing which ones are really connecting with people. And it's such a great experiment to do that.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for taking our hand and walking us through such a delightful and surprising and enjoyable album. And may we all wish you the best of luck with it.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
The best music all day. Virgin Radio.